Welcome back to the Show Me Show podcast for episode. Cam, what episode is this? Do we have an idea?
77.
Okay, double seven. I'm trying to think of who's number 77, but can't
Probably
think of
some
anyone.
good linemen. That's about it.
Yeah, maybe Joe Thomas.
No, he was 70 or 73.
Anyway, on today's episode, we got back to our normal episode after the one on Monday, but so a little more normal. No rundown once again. Very busy once again. Hopefully, we'll get one out next week. So we'll be recapping the week 4 of the NFL, and we got our fantasy corner, and then I think we're going to talk a little bit in depth about the Mizzou game this weekend, considering it's like the biggest game in years for Mizzou. Definitely the biggest game in the Drinkwitz era. And we will both be there. So we'll probably talk extensively about that. And then we'll do our week 5 picks. And then we'll send you out of here. So, Cam, what do you want to talk about with week 5? Anything that sticks out in particular, or you just want to run down the list here of the games?
Well,
week 4, excuse me.
Yeah, week 4. I have some side notes here, but I'm okay with just starting in Green Bay if you want to do it like that.
Okay. We got to figure out what the hell we're doing in the first half, because the last 2 weeks against the Lions and against the Saints, we have been outscored 44-3 in the first half. Both games at home. We got to figure we can't be doing that. But the second half looked fine. It was such an insurmountable deficit going into halftime that there's really not much you could do. But it wasn't terrible in the second half. It was good ball, but man, when you start off with a pick on the first play of the game, you get the ball right in your red zone and you can't score a touchdown. That does not set a good tone for the game. So, am I worried about the Packers? No, not really, because I think I said on last week's show that this was one of the hardest games we're going to have all year, top 3 hardest games. So I'm not too worried about as much as like playoff aspirations. But if we're going to go any farther in the playoffs, we need to beat some of these teams. And, it is what it is. Jordan Love still looked fine. He had some weird decisions in the first half where he was throwing picks, but overall, not bad. Once again, Detroit owns us. I think they're on a 3-game winning streak. They've won back-to-back years in Lambeau. So, we're kind of becoming the Bears a little bit, but inversely.
No, that's not even true, but whatever. Yeah, I thought I enjoyed watching this game. I was a little surprised how much the Packers let it slip away in the first half, because you're right. They just played good ball in the second half. Although there was another Quay Walker blunder masterclass, if you will, which sucks because he's literally one of your best players, but he has had 2 unbelievable penalties now against the Lions at home in the past 2 times you guys have played them. The Packers might just be a second half team.
On that note, the one this past week wasn't that bad. It was leaping. Right. It was something that you shouldn't have done. Right. It was a dumb penalty, but it wasn't like shoving a trainer. That might have been the stupidest play I think I've ever seen in my life. So he is learning, I guess. He's getting smarter, stupid plays.
Yeah, I know. That's a great point. Yeah, it was just a play that, he was just trying to make a play, really, and you can't really fault. You got to remember what you can and can't do at the NFL level, but yeah, he was just trying to make a play. And then, Jordan Love, I thought he looked pretty damn good in the second half. Obviously, though, the first half, the Packers have been a lot like the Bengals and the Giants. They just can't do anything in the first half, and if your defense gives up some points because you play good teams, like the Lions, it's going to be hard to come back. Even against the Saints, they kind of dug themselves a pretty deep hole, able to get out of that one because it was only like 17 points. But like this one, against an even better team with a much better quarterback and offense, you just can't really do that. There was a point in the second half when I think they were down 16, the Packers, after their first touchdown, and in the second half, and I was like, okay, they actually momentum has shifted. Mo was on their side, and I think they can come back in this game. And it was a fight, but the Lions. I mean, it's not even like they just did just enough to win. They like did plenty to hold the Packers at bay and secure that one. So,
Yeah, David Montgomery, big
yeah,
game.
huge game.
One thing I do want to mention, this is why I'm not worried. This is our next 5 games. The Raiders, then we have a bye week. Broncos, Vikings, Rams, Steelers. The best team in that group is Rams or Steelers, and they're both mid at best. So that should be at least 4-1. I'm thinking at least, if not 5-0 during that stretch. So
Where's the Steelers game?
Pittsburgh.
Okay, that'll make it a little tougher for the Packers. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to the Steelers here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But over to London.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I was not awake for this game. It had cleared by the time I had woken up. But when I did wake up and did see some of the highlights, I was very impressed. Not with the game, but the Toy Story game kind of has some crazy technology. And I know they did this, I think, with hockey or something like that. But I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, I don't know how they do the live animation in real time with the players. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I don't know how they did that, to be honest. But a wonder, another wonder. Jags kind of just took care of business. Desmond Ritter starting to build this aura that he is like
Desmond Shitter.
Yeah,
that's what he is
Desmond Shitter, and like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And I can't really disagree right now. There was actually a funny meme that was going around. It was like, who's the worst NFL quarterback right now? And it was like Desmond Ritter, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and then a second picture of Desmond Ritter. So it was pretty funny. But
I mean, the lowest of the lows is throwing a pick six in the Toy Story style. I don't know if you've seen that. That's like up there with the Russell Wilson throwing a pick down 35-3 and Patrick the Star going, that's not what he wanted to cook. Like, pick six in the Toy Story format, that's that type of level. It's just embarrassing.
Yeah, that's like missing the kick. An important kick in the Nickelodeon game, and it's just like that giant SpongeBob net, and it just goes wide right or to the left of the SpongeBob net. I mean, that not great. Although I think, shout out to Nickelodeon, I think they have a broadcast for the Super Bowl this year, which is bonkers to me. I can't even imagine how much that would cost, but they have it. So, next game, Dolphins at Bills. It happened. The Bills kind of shellacked them. They ran out of points. The Dolphins ran out of points to score, I guess.
Yeah. I tried telling you last week during the picks. I was like,
Miami
coming off the high, the 70 points. Buffalo is a very good team. It was in Buffalo. I didn't expect this by any means, this much of a blowout, but I don't know. Buffalo's been on a mission since they lost that week 1 to New York. Their offense has just been on a tear, just punishing defenses. It's kind of been insane. It didn't change here. It was just too much for Miami.
Yeah, they just couldn't keep up. But I mean, even when they were keeping up, you could tell it was much tougher for the Dolphins to get on the board than for the Bills. So that's something to keep in the back of our mind with picks going forward here for the Bills, because like you just said, they're just hot right now. I don't know what's going to stop them. So
yeah, something about the Bills in the Josh Allen era, at least, is when they win, they cover the spread.
Oh, they blow out the spread.
Yeah. So if you think the Bills are going to win, take the alternate spread on them. I mean, that's your best way to make money, honestly. And then bet the other team's money line, and you're guaranteed to win one of them. So,
Broncos at the Bears. this was sad, Luke. I'm not gonna lie, this was sad. It was 28-7 Bears, and they lost 31-28.
Well, Sean Payton lost his sleeves. He cut
Sean
off his
Payton
sleeves.
cut his sleeves at the half. The Bears had a chance to make it 31-28 on like a 4th down and 1.5 yards or so, and they ran a shotgun run play up the middle for nothing, and got stuffed. Didn't kick the field goal. Broncos go down, kick the field goal, win 31-28. Huge deficit to overcome. You got to give it to them. But if you're the Broncos, okay, you beat the 31st best team in the NFL, maybe 30th. I don't know. I think the Panthers
Not
are probably
even.
better than the Bears. I don't know. It's hard to say, but really, really bad teams at play here. And it's not even the Broncos here in the focus. It's just the Bears. How are they this bad? How do they give up a lead that bad? Justin Fields actually solid in this game, had an horrendous fumble, but it was blindside. I just can't believe it. Like the franchise is in total disarray. You don't have a defensive coordinator. Your head coach, who's won barely any games, is calling the plays, and he's supposed to be a defensive mind. Once again, the defensive coordinator, they don't even know why. We don't know why he had to leave, and nobody will say anything.
There's a lot of suspicions, but nothing's confirmed.
Yeah, because they won't say anything. It's all kept under wraps. I don't know. I don't want to just go into the Bears because we don't know anything about but it's mind blowing to me as somebody. I don't hate the Bears. There's no real reason for me to hate the Bears. I have no connection to the franchise. I just watch NFL football. Steelers suck too right now, but it blows my mind how much disarray that organization is in. Like I'm trying to think of a close second. The Athletics maybe, but even them, I don't.
That's just their owner is just a scumbag, and they're not trying to win. That's what that is. It's intentional bad.
Yeah.
The Bears are trying. And
Well, I don't know. At this point, I don't even know. I don't even know if they're trying. I don't know if they're tanking or like they're tanking. But like you just said, I
they weren't
thought
going into the year
weren't.
though.
I thought they weren't trying to tank, but a month into the season, they pulled the plug. You know, it's crazy. I just it's mind blowing to me. So whatever. Next game.
Baltimore
Ravens at Browns. This was funny. I don't know what happened here, but just all of a sudden, Deshaun Watson's not playing in this game.
Yeah.
And we get DTR, who I love. I love DTR. One of my favorite college quarterbacks to watch ever. This dude was hilarious in this game. I think he had 3 interceptions. He would just go off script all the time when they didn't need to go off script. And he was just trying to run through people and doing all kinds of crazy shit, and it just didn't work. Yeah, there's a reason why this game was a blowout. Ravens, if they wouldn't have choked away that game against Gardner Minshew and the Colts, they'd be 4-0 right now, and they should be 4-0.
Yeah.
And they have a stranglehold on the division right now, even though it's early. So,
yeah, they're certainly the front runners. Their offense did fine. I still am waiting for that explosive game from Lamar Jackson, though.
yeah.
Even though we had 4 touchdowns this game, I think.
Yeah, I think he accounted for pretty much all their. This was a
good.
game there every few minutes. The Ravens would be on red zone because it would like DTR would like throw a pick, and then the Ravens would go on offense and get into the red zone. And this was a game that you're just like, Lamar Jackson is literally just a freak athlete. I mean, the way he runs and like some of the balls he was placing like into the back of the end zone and stuff was just so perfect. It's just like, I remember when people used to make fun of him for not being able, and some people still carry that narrative that he's a running back, but goddamn, he sometimes just has pinpoint accuracy that just unreal athletes have. So
Yeah, he's He's a true dual threat QB.
Yeah.
Cincinnati at Tennessee. This is very reminiscent of the Baltimore Cleveland game, in which it was just not a contest.
Yeah. And Joe Burrow is very hurt. And so I have a buddy who has Joe Burrow in fantasy, and he's like, "Well, should I start him? Should I start him?" I'm like, well, give it till about week 5. Usually, the Bengals pick it back up around week 5. Luke, I don't think they're going to pick it up in week 5. Joe Burrow is really hurt. They don't score any points. They don't score any points. I don't think he has a passing touchdown yet. So that's pretty crazy stat to have through 4 weeks. And it's not that they're in disarray. I mean, they're a good team. We've seen it the past 2 years, and they've started slow like this, but they're awful. They can't score. Their defense isn't atrocious, but when the offense doesn't score at all, you have no shot. So I'm not going to be picking them for a little bit, I don't think, because, like I just said, Burrow's hurt. I feel like the backup, whoever that is, A.J. McCarron on the practice squad, could probably give them a better shot right now. I mean, he can't move. He's like Big Ben. He looks like a damn refrigerator.
Yeah. He's like Big Ben, but he's not fat and old.
Yeah.
Like Big Ben had an excuse. He was fat and he was old.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe Burrow is in the middle of his prime. He just signed a $275 million deal, but granted, he is injured. This is reminding me of injured. We talk about this situation all the time on this show, but the Cleveland Browns situation with Baker.
Yeah.
Except that it would be a perfect scenario if this was happening last year, because, I mean, obviously that happened the year before Baker was to sign the big contract. But he's got the same injury that Aaron Rodgers had in the preseason. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. That's going to, if Joe Burrow takes a kind of a gross sack, it's going to be Achilles, and then they're really done. And it's over. And that would just be shocking, I think, for that team. I had them win the Super Bowl, and they can't score. So,
yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do?
But this was kind of a Derrick Henry masterclass. A couple touchdowns, a throwing touchdown as well, which is always cool to watch Derrick Henry do it. I kind of hope this is the start of Derrick Henry's, like, where once we get colder, they just start running the ball a lot more, and they just run through people. I just like Derrick Henry, so I kind of hope that's what happens. But yeah, that was a no contest as well. This game was really sweet. Rams were up 23-0 in Indianapolis, and the Colts came roaring back. Yes, Colts came roaring back, tied it up 23-23. Go to overtime. Rams hit the ball. They scored a touchdown on a huge Puka Nacua play. That was a really sweet catch and run, by the way. His first NFL touchdown on his 39th catch, which is also kind of crazy that he hadn't scored yet. But the Rams up 23-0, led them all the way back in the game. Anthony Richardson, man, I mean, if they don't get in that hole, I mean, we're talking about this guy and being the best rookie quarterback right now, and he still is pretty close. I mean, he's just been dynamite. Now, the big thing here that me and Luke pointed to last week, and Luke just brought it up, is the roof was closed. And so our pick was, if the roof is closed, we've got the Rams. So we were right. But the bigger thing here at play is, Luke, why was the roof closed? It was a perfectly sunny day in Indianapolis. Why did Jim Irsay close the roof? That's the thing that we don't know the answer to. And if the roof is open, Chargers or the Colts never get in that hole, and they win that game. So that's
true.
We just don't get it.
The roof's open. We're picking the Colts.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that's all the boost they needed. I mean, they went to overtime. They just needed a slight boost, and they would have won.
Exactly.
I don't know. I guess. I mean, the Colts are still tied for first. That AFC South division is just perfect right now. It's perfectly AFC South.
Two, 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 and two.
They're all
Yeah.
2-2. That's the most perfect AFC South thing ever. To all be mid. So I
Yeah.
nothing to worry about. You're still in the division hunt. And your rookie QB is showing a lot of flashes. So
Yeah. Um, Saints and Buccaneers hosting the Buccaneers. This was also kind of not really that much of a contest.
mm.
Derek Carr is awful. I hate watching him. We did get a Jameis Winston interception in this game, which was nice, but it was, I mean, it didn't mean anything. You know, they just threw him in there for one snap and just to air it out, kind of like the Drew Brees days, and it was picked off. But all I want is that the whole game. I want 40-35. You know, in this type of game, I don't even know if the Saints can do that, but I feel like Jameis gives you a chance to do that. It just chaos, you know.
Derek Carr is going to be lucky to get you 20 points.
Exactly. I mean, they just can't do anything with him, and he's hurt. He's very hurt.
Yeah, Dennis Allen just hates Jameis Winston at all costs. I don't know what he did. I don't know what. Maybe Dennis Allen is a big Lobster fan, and
yeah, he could have like an ethic code thing that he just can't get over. But but then again, he's a domestic terrorist, so I don't know. Yeah, I was expecting Jameis to start that game, and I was thoroughly disappointed because I actually didn't know that he wasn't going to play until I was watching it on Red Zone, and Derek Carr was waddling around and shit. So, yeah, that was disheartening.
Though. The Bucks
look good,
solid,
yeah, not good, solid. You know, whatever. This was maybe the best game during the day. Eagles, Commanders. We had the Eagles here, but what was it? 34-31 was the final, I want to say.
Overtime.
Yeah, in overtime. Sam Howell played tremendous after last week. His huge blunder, 4-interception game. But like we said last week, you just have those games in the NFL, especially as pretty much a rookie quarterback. Jalen Hurts also looked really, really good in this game. A lot of people saying on TV that, you know, they may have regressed a little bit. I think the defense has regressed somehow. I don't know why. They have a great front seven. I don't know. The secondary's just given up a lot of big plays, which is weird to me because they still have Darius Slay and pretty much all the same safeties from last year. So I don't know what's going on back there. But, yeah, Sam Howell looked really good. The Commanders' offensive line, not great, but Sam was actually getting the ball out quicker, and they didn't give up that many sacks to the Eagles. So,
one of the best sacking teams in the nation. A lot of sacks.
Versus
speaking of, we'll get
the
to
worst offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, this was a very, very fun game. Obviously, the Eagles are just the better team, and it was in Philadelphia, so I think that as a Commanders fan, you can come away and be like, yeah, you know what? Our team's solid. We competed with one of the best. I was disappointed that we didn't get Riverboat Ron in this game, though. I was really thinking he was gonna pull it out on the goal line there, go for 2 to try and win the game, but he didn't. And
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't like that call. I was hoping he would.
Yeah,
I know. Especially being on the road, you just let an exciting drive down the field.
Exciting comeback too, and you know, the one thing he spoke to the media about, because everybody's asking that question, and I believe him. But it's also still tough to do what he did because he said all of his players were gassed and tired. And he just didn't think that going for 2 gave him the best shot at winning the game because of how gassed and tired they were. Well, I'm sure the Eagles' defense was just as gassed and tired. So, I don't know. Sometimes I think you got to roll with your boys, and usually Riverboat Ron will. And if you lose, I mean, don't get me wrong. There will always be people damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, if they don't go for 2 and obviously lose in overtime like they do, people will say, "Oh, you should have went for 2," but if you go for 2 and don't get it, then also you're also going to be damned. But
No,
by the media, so
I trust my gut reaction, like in the moment, and in the moment, I was hoping he would go for it because I thought that was the best chance to, like, you have the chance right now to win, and I think you have to take that. So
yeah.
that's what I'm basing it off of.
Um,
Another sicko game, Minnesota, Carolina. Minnesota doesn't suck. I think that's what we found out in this game. If they would have lost this, it would be full on tank for Caleb season. But
also, the Panthers. I'm done picking the Panthers. I've seen enough. They don't have anything going for them.
no, I don't know what happened. They were not a bad team last year. You know what it is? Frank Reich. They replaced.
I don't even know if it's the rise of the Third Reich. I don't even know if it's him. The team is just awful.
Is they replaced Matt Rule with a thinner, older Matt Rule.
Matt Rule still has some joy in his life, though.
Yeah, he's like getting back at it. Like Frank Reich is. I don't know when the Panthers and the Buccaneers play, but that is going to be the saddest coaching matchup ever.
Yeah.
Neither of those guys smile. It's going to look like both of them are getting ready to cry at all times.
You know what? I'll give some props to Todd Bowles, though, lately. He actually has been showing a little bit of emotion, everyone. It's usually after the game, because during the game he's just, one of those faces. But and it doesn't even look like he's ever even talking into his microphone either. Like, all the other coaches are handling everything. That's just what it looks like when they pan over to him. But I'll give some credit to Todd Bowles this year. They're 3-1. Todd Bowles' team is 3-1. I thought they were going to be abysmal. So, and there's still time, don't get me wrong, but Baker and Todd Bowles, who I did not think that was going to happen. So, yeah. Well, and Panthers suck.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Do you think Frank Reich's going to be on the hot seat? Do you think he could get fired after this year?
Yes, but probably not. I don't know. Charlotte's not like a booming football city to where they're like forcing coaches out after one season. I don't feel like so. I feel like they might give him more time, even though he doesn't have the greatest resume in the world. No, but
he don't need more time with him. Just it's not working. Get him out of there. Change the vibe in the clubhouse. It's making me mad.
Yeah, I don't know.
The roster should not be this bad.
Who do you go and get, though, right? I mean, obviously, we say that now. At the end of the season, there's going to be plenty of offense and defensive coordinators that are going to be looking for jobs. But you got to at least wait till the end of the season, probably, or at least towards the end of it.
Yeah. I'm not talking about, like, firing now, but, like, at the end of the year. My recommendation, if they do try to go after a new coach, is maybe don't hire a guy that got fired, like, 2 months ago.
That's not true. He had been fired for a little bit.
4 months? Less than 6 months.
Was Frank Reich the head coach of the Colts last year?
Yes. I just remember Jeff Saturday came in.
Jeff Saturday came in and then won that one game and was the worst coach I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, that was when they blew that game to the Vikings. It was with Jeff Saturday.
Or actually, my God, 31-0. Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but yeah.
How soon they forget? That was around Christmas time. I was at a Christmas party. As we were in the car, it was 31-0 when we got out. And we were about to get back in the car, and it was like Vikings were tied or winning. It was insane.
Yeah, that was insane. I remember I was at a restaurant, and I looked up, and I was like, "Oh, that game's over." And I got back to my house, and I'm like, "Oh, it's in overtime."
Yeah,
how'd that happen? Next game is this? No, this is the last game of the early slate. There's a lot of early games this week. Pittsburgh at Houston. Houston wins. They've looked solid, and I think it's entirely because of their head coach. DeMeco Ryans. You can tell the team is just playing harder. They may not be as talented as some of the other teams, but they're playing harder, and C.J. Stroud's playing well. And the Steelers, they have a, I don't even know about a terrorist. I think you could go even farther into the, he's a Nazi. Um, you could go even farther into, he's a dictator, an authoritarian, um, communist, all that type of stuff. That you can describe Matt Canada with that. I don't know how he still has a job. Personally, I'm baffled. The fact he had one of the worst offenses in the league last year, and then not only did they bring him back this year, but they promoted him. I don't know what they promoted him to exactly, but they promoted him, and he literally calls the same plays. He has the same force. He has the same four plays that he just runs over and over again. Doesn't matter the situation of the game. Doesn't matter the position on the field. It's the same four plays. It's just baffling how bad the offense is, and it's literally, if I could describe it in one word, it's like Matt Canada played Madden for a week and wrote down the four best plays from Madden, and then he just uses them in the NFL. That's what it looks like.
One thing I know you said this is a D'Amico Ryans thing, why they're so successful. It's also a CJ Stroud thing. He's the best rookie quarterback. I know I said Anthony Richardson, probably a close second right now. CJ Stroud is way ahead of schedule for these guys. I mean, he has got the most passes ever by a rookie without throwing an interception, and he kept it going. So the streak is still alive. Their offense is like moving the ball because of him. It's not like just big plays to like Tank Dell or Nico Collins. They're hitting the big plays to Nico Collins and Tank Dell, but it's not just that. They're like actually moving the ball over to the Steelers. Matt Canada. It's not just Matt Canada, too. I mean, that whole offense is abysmal. Najee finally looked actually competent this game, which was nice to see, especially against a solid defense. But I mean, the final was like 30-6, and the Steelers were favored. Usually we're like, man, Vegas knows something. They didn't know anything about this game. I mean, the Steelers were awful. They have the highest percentage of 3-and-outs in the NFL at 48% right now, which is the highest. And I don't really know what you do because you can't obviously demote Matt Canada after you just promoted him. I don't know what you do. Kenny Pickett, it looks like he might be hurt, although he was practicing today with this huge brace on his leg. So that's just bad news too. Offensive line still mid as a mug, by the way. And also, as a Steelers fan, and I said this before the season, George Pickens, what does this guy do? He just does weird stuff when other people have the ball. I don't know if you saw last week, I think it was. He tried to like throw a block and literally like just chucked his entire body and missed at a guy. But I said before the season, everybody's expecting George Pickens to break out. I said like 540 yards, maybe 3 touchdowns, something like that. The dude, they don't get him the ball. And they actually do try. Matt Canada does try, but they don't really connect very often. He's never really open. They don't incorporate Darnell Washington, who they said they would because he was just doing awesome stuff in the preseason. Pat Freiermuth got hurt. Shout out to Cole Kmet, who I left on the bench, who had the biggest day of his fantasy career, by the way.
Hey, don't forget to start him tonight, Cam.
I started Freiermuth. I did start Cole Kmet. I don't know. The whole offense is just in disarray. The defense was bad, but it's also hard, like I said earlier, for another team that I can't remember who we were talking about. The Packers. If you don't score on offense, it just becomes very lopsided, and you're not going to hold out the other team's offense every single time. And we're at the point, and you know what, Luke? We've actually been doing this for this will be like the 3rd year in a row where the Steelers are going to be like they need a special teams touchdown and like a defensive touchdown to have any shot in games because the offense is so bad. So I don't know. I don't know what the fix is. Matt Canada, you said I don't know if he's a terrorist. For now, I think I'll probably stick with terrorist because it is domestic. It's here in the States.
You could throw out Aryan.
I wouldn't say Nazi because I'll say this. I don't know what his end goal is. The Nazis had an end goal. Stalin had an end goal. What's Matt Canada's end goal? I don't know. We don't even know that about Matt Canada. He gives us nothing. We have no idea what his plan is, his master plan. So I don't know.
It just makes me think what happened to Mad America? What happened to this great country that we have to use foreigners? Some stats I want to read off about Matt Canada. Average plays per drive 4.9. Do you know where that ranks in the NFL?
I would assume second to last or last.
It's last. Yards per drive, 21.4. That is definitely last. You know how long the average drive length lasts?
37 seconds.
1 minute and 59 seconds on average. Dead last. This one is one of the most baffling ones too. Percentage of drives ending in touchdowns, 8.7. Do you even get 10 drives a game? Dead last.
How far last are they on that last one?
I don't know. It just says the ranking of them.
Okay.
Percentage of drives ending in points. So this just getting into field goal range, 17.9%.
Yeah, there's like a wild stat that they've barely ran any plays on the opponent's side of the 50-yard line.
Yeah. It's baffling. And I don't know if that has to do with Matt. Obviously, it has a lot to do with him, but maybe they're off. Like, maybe Kenny Pickett sucks. Maybe he's just not that good.
He's not. Right now, he's not that good. Sometimes, and this is just it, this is where you need somebody that can develop this because he shows flashes. And I'm sure you've even watched some of the games where, like, during, like, a second half, he'll, like, lock in. And they'll go, like, 3 drives in a row. But you don't get that in the first half, ever. And then some games you don't ever even see that once, not even one drive.
Yeah, so, you're in the worst spot as a fan right now. You're in quarterback purgatory.
But he's young. It's hard to call it purgatory because he's young. And you also have, like we said, a terrorist. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but a lot of times you either want your guy to be – obviously you want him to be really good, but if he's not really, really good, you want him to suck so that – like you're like, okay, we can move on from him. Kenny Pickett is just right where like maybe he can still do good and become one of the guys. It's probably not going to happen though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Vegas at the Chargers. The Chargers won.
I'll give
it all I have in this game.
I'll say one thing. The former Purdue Boilermaker, Aiden O'Connell, actually looked like he can play in the league for a while. I don't know if he'll ever be a starter, but like he did some good things. So yeah.
And then this is the first. There were 2 big games that involve sacks this week. So Carl Nassib, his socks would probably be going up and down. 6 sacks for Khalil Mack. Or 6 sacks. He tied the all-time record for is it tied? Maybe he became the 4th player ever to get 6 sacks in a game. I think one player got 7.
Derek Thomas got 7 one time.
That's insane. That's
Rest
insane.
in peace, Derek Thomas.
So yeah, he had 6 sacks in the revenge game against the Raiders. And he just molested the offensive line. So once again, Carl Nassib, socks going up and down. That's about all I have in this game. What are you shaking your head for, Ken?
That second comment about molestation and Carl Nass, that might have
Okay,
been
yeah, that's too far. That's too far.
that's insane. But um, New England at Dallas.
Blowout.
Moving on swiftly here. Yeah, this game happened. The Patriots. This was literally one of the worst outings I've ever seen by. No, this was the worst outing I've ever seen from Mac Jones. I mean, he was terrible, awful, abysmal. Trevon Diggs died during the week leading up to this game, and Patriots couldn't do anything. They said it was the biggest loss in Bill Belichick's career. I think it was 38-3 was the final, something like that.
Yep.
Patriots might be dead for the rest of the year as well.
Yeah, they're dead. Christian Gonzalez got hurt for
Dead.
the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Matthew
Judon,
Judon's hurt
dead.
for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's out for the year, but yeah, they're completely dead. I think it's the earliest that we've pronounced him dead ever.
And what do you do if you're Belichick?
Retire.
Tanking is not in his blood. So what do you do?
You just push through this year and then you retire.
But what if you get in, what if you join the Tankathon? Which shout out to Tankathon. We need to start checking that here soon about week 8 probably. We'll start looking
I think
into
I usually start about week 6.
Yeah. What if you get in the race though for Caleb?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
But they could. They're awful. Their defense is all right, but not last week. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'd have to look at their schedule. They're awful. I guess they play the Jets again, but they're awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. San Francisco. I guess Dallas actually is good. By the way, we'll say that too. San Francisco. You know what? I'll give it to the Birds here. Cardinals traveled to San Francisco. They hung around in this game, and then they didn't. They got walloped at the end, but it was like 21 to 16 and stuff, or like 28-16, and it was a football game. And then the 49ers finished the deal, but yeah, shout out to Josh Jobs. Finally got his jersey in stores, and that's about all I have from that game. I think C-Mac had like 4 tutties, but
yeah, Christian McCaffrey he is so good.
Yeah.
And maybe the Christian McCaffrey injury curse is over because I set the over-under at week 3.5. And we're going into week 5, and he's the best running back in the league. So
well, he did get hurt, but he's back.
Okay, well, that's a precursor for what's going to happen this week. Dallas, you're telling me Jerry's not going to put something in the turf? Tell me Dan Quinn's not going to be going for those kneecaps?
You think they're not going to hire the sod father for one weekend of football? Yeah, you're probably right.
And then there goes Christian McCaffrey the rest of the year. So honestly, if I had him in fantasy, I'd trade him right now. It's infinite value.
You wouldn't trade him. You wouldn't.
There's nothing you could even get for him unless, there's no player that's been better. So
yeah.
Kansas City, the Jets.
Good game. Fun game.
Zach Wilson better than Mahomes?
No.
People were saying.
It wasn't. People talking about that, not even funny. Doesn't even make me giggle.
Here's the thing with Zach Wilson is that he's been getting better the last few weeks, and he really is. He's the guy.
Not at Dallas.
There's no other guy that they could bring in other than maybe if the Vikings are bad enough, Kirk Cousins, but that's probably not going to happen. Let's be honest. He's the guy. The rest of the year, he's the best option. What?
Jameis. They could definitely bring in Jameis.
I don't.
1 year contract. He's only on a 1 year contract. They could do it. Where's Bridgewater in all this too? I mean, I'm not saying that you bring in Bridgewater over. Yeah, you're right. Over Zach Wilson, but just putting some names out there.
2 gloves, Teddy.
Yeah, tripod Teddy.
Yeah, that picture in Denver. I was going to mention. And then Monday night, Seattle at the Giants. And once again, Carl Nassib, his socks are going up and down for this game. 11 sacks from the Seahawks. I mean, that has to be a dream for Carl Nassib. I'm going a little overboard on this right now. I got to tune it back a little bit. But yeah, 11 sacks.
God dang.
I mean, you can't. 11 sacks.
It's
Carl
crazy, but
Michael Sam. Shout out to him.
we get it.
Huh?
We get the joke. We get the
I
joke.
know. That's why I said I'm going overboard. I gotta tune it back here. But yeah, anyway, just domination from Seattle. The Giants are bad.
Yeah.
0-3. Actually, here's the thing, and I'll let you go on whatever you're gonna say. But the Giants are 1-3 this year. They're 0-3 in prime time. With the exception of last year, do you remember how bad Daniel Jones was in prime time? I think it's just back. I think the bad Daniel Jones is just back in prime time. They might be fine in the regular games.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I think of Daniel Jones in prime time, and it's not really his fault. Well, it is his fault because he sucks in prime time, but it's just that one fake Buffalo Wild Wings commercial, where Daniel Jones, no one, even on the screen, he has a breakaway touchdown, and then he slipped and fell, and they lost that game. And then there's the fake Buffalo Wild Wings commercial where that guy, it shows him like pushing a button or like pulling a lever, and a sprinkler pops up, and he like trips over it. That's what I always think about when I think about Daniel Jones in prime time, and it showed again. I mean, this was a little bit of an eyesore for a Monday night game. I don't know what else to really say about it. I mean, he was just as bad as Mac Jones in this game. So, and that's saying a lot. Like, those two were awful this week. And they're kind of about the same pedigree, except Daniel Jones had a really good season last year, but this was unbelievably bad. And oh my gosh, Dable was just, I felt bad for Dable. He looked unbelievably upset. Luke, towards the end of the game, he started to look really fat too. I mean, when you're down by that much, I get it. And he was in a sweatshirt that, like, I swear, at the beginning of the game, didn't even make him look fat, almost like a slimming sweatshirt. And as the lead just got out of hand,
they just started stretching out.
Yeah, he just got fatter. And I'll say this about Mike McCarthy too. Mike McCarthy has not looked fat once this year, even in the loss against the Cardinals. Didn't look fat, so you got to give it to him. But Brian Dable, holy moly, that dude was large at the end of this game. So, and his forehead wasn't even that shiny. So, just a really rough day all around for the Giants. Their defense is not very good. Mm-hmm. Seattle is solid. They have a kid, Devin Witherspoon. My goodness. He flies around like Cam Chancellor, but he's playing slot cornerback. And the broadcasters the whole game are like, this guy is like going to die because of how hard he plays quarterback or cornerback. But he just doesn't care. He had 2 sacks in this game where one of them he literally just blindside popped Daniel Jones, and it was a beautiful sack. And then there was also he had a 99-yard pick six or 97-yard pick six. I mean, this dude's a stud out of Illinois.
Right?
What's that?
I said out of Illinois, right?
Yeah, out of Champaign, 5th pick in the draft. So yeah, you hope the kid's a stud. But I mean, he flew around like an old Legion of Boom member. So yeah, Seahawks winning the draft again, a couple years in a row here.
Yeah, they're reassembling that Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
And then that's what happened.
That's what happened. So, anything? No, covered that.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's it.
Fantasy corner.
Let's go. Yeah.
Pretty standard. Pretty standard show today. Cam, did you listen to my solo episode
I've only got through like the beginning.
That was god awful to record. It was about 15 minutes in, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? I'm just talking to I'm just yapping.
Yapping. Dude, just yapping.
Just yapping. But yeah,
Um,
let's get to fantasy corner here. I think you're first on the sheet this week.
I am. I clocked in first. My stardom is Tez Walker. The NCAA finally granted him immediate eligibility today, by the way, and all kinds of. There was a video that UNC posted, the football team, of him walking into the coaches called him in to tell him that he was eligible to play, and I teared up on the shuttle bus watching it. Coach Mack told him that he was eligible, and the other coach, the wide receiver coach, told him that he was eligible. And there was just like an embracing moment, but it was just so cool. And then there was the NCAA released a statement basically saying we got new evidence that allowed us to clear Tez Walker, but they wouldn't say what the new evidence was. That's because there was no new evidence.
It was just they came around.
Yeah, they were just tired of being berated. Apparently, there was a whole ass court case that was suing the NCAA, and a bunch of board of governors were signing off on it throughout all the universities in the state of North Carolina. And it was a court case that even with the lawyers that the NCAA can hire, which is anybody, they're like, well, we're going to lose this court case. So I guess they just gave it up. The AD took some shots at at the NCAA. They're like, they finally gave Tez his eligibility, blah, 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 blah. They said that they were lacking evidence, which was fake. And he basically just shot that right back at the NCAA. So the NCAA in North Carolina, tension. So I will say this, though, with all this going on.
NCAA has tension with every school.
Yeah, but now, NCAA, they hate North Carolina right now. I mean, they've gotten them some bad screen time that they did not want over the past few weeks, which deservedly so. I have no idea why they even did this, the NCAA. I mean, to send a message, but to who? To who? Why just North Carolina? I didn't get it. So hopefully North Carolina dots their I's, crosses their T's going forward, because they're definitely going to have a watchful eye on them just because of this involvement. But yeah, Tez Walker is a stud. So yeah, start him. He's going to be able to play, I think, this week. So he's been practicing with the team all year long, goes to all the games, whatever. And it's become national news because he's such a good player. But they finally get him this week against Syracuse. So yeah, my sit-em is Oklahoma, Luke. Get ready for a boat race in the Red River rivalry, and by boat race I mean probably 45-17 Texas, because last year it was 49-0, first ever I think Texas shutout in the Red River rivalry, and Oklahoma always beats these guys in the Red River, at least in recent history. Well, now Texas dominated last year, and it's going to be the same shit, different day this year, Luke.
I think it'll be a little closer.
I do too. That's why I'm saying 45-17. 45-17. A lot of people don't like this take, and it's like, well, at least Oklahoma's offense got better, so that's why I'm saying 45-17. But yeah, that's my sit-em is Oklahoma. They're going to get boat raced, I think. And I think Dylan Gabriel's good, but he doesn't account for 49 points. So Brent Venables is going to be kicking himself after this one. And then my sleeper, Luke, is Mizzou Nuclear Reactors. And you might be like, what? What does that even mean? Well, 2 days ago, Mizzou broke ground at the MU Research Reactor, expanding the facility with MURR West. The 47,000 square foot addition will boost nuclear science research in life-saving medical isotope production. Well, Luke, we start 5-0, and now we're increasing our nuclear stockpile. But an even bigger stat here is we already led the country, the entire country, in megawatts, which is for nuclear reactors, that's the unit that they use, megawatts. And we clear everybody. The next closest was 6 megawatts. We have 10 megawatts. To put it in perspective, some of the other SEC schools, Texas A&M, 1.000005 megawatts. Texas, 1.1 megawatts. We have 10 megawatts. And we're building a 47,000 square foot facility to increase this megawattage. So
Is this like
there's that.
what is Wisconsin? Do they have 3 megawatts?
Wisconsin, 1 megawatt.
Well, he's retired now, so
Yeah. MIT, 6 megawatts is actually the second closest. Rhode Island has 2 megawatts. So yeah, we have the strongest nuclear program. So, watch out. We are the only school, or with the president that dropped an atomic bomb. So whatever. There is some speculation that inspectors from the International Atomic Jayhawk Agency will be allowed in to make sure that Mizzou is only using their nuclear reactors for peaceful purposes.
are they scared that we're going to attack the KU campus or something?
I don't know. That's why they might be sending inspectors. So, Mizzou on the move. Also, my slipper is Mizzou nuclear reactors.
That's actually a good point, though, that the one person in history that authorized a nuclear bomb to be dropped went to the University of Missouri. So it kind of is like he probably donated 8 of those megawatts, to the university himself. He probably paid for them. Maybe Mizzou's producing the next Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Well, he didn't go to Mizzou, but our mascot is named after him.
Where'd he go? I thought he went to Mizzou.
He went to UMKC, I think.
Oh,
which technically is still a Missouri system school. Umsel, Mizzou, Rolla, UMKC, but so we are about to dominate in megawatts. So
we already do. We already
do. Yeah, you're right. We already do. So,
my stardom, I got 2 of them. My first one is Trevor Bauer. Came out. I don't know if you watched that video this week that he posted, but he came out with a bunch of evidence, basically proving that he was innocent in the whole thing, and that the chick that accused him of all this stuff made it up to get money out of him. And he had some screenshots of texts to her friend that she was like, "I'm going to try and get this money out of him. I'm going after him, blah, blah, blah." Very wild stuff. And apparently her lawyers knew about all this evidence and just refused to share it, which is a big no-no. And they're probably done. Their careers are cooked. But yeah, I don't even know if you can start them. It's just a huge, huge tough scene. I know we haven't done tough scene for a long time, but it's a tough scene because he got the longest non-PED suspension in MLB history. And by non-PED, I mean lifetime ban. That's the only suspension that's been longer than this one in MLB history. Is they were permanently banned from the league. 324 games, and he didn't really even do anything. And the thing is that he wasn't convicted, and the MLB still gave him this suspension. So I guess it is what it is, but his suspension, I think, is cleared. I think they cleared the rest of his suspension, so it started midway through last year. So he would have had some in this year, but they cleared the rest of it already. The Dodgers officially have released him, so he's a free agent to sign, and I would imagine he ends up on a team next year. Maybe a team like the Reds, kind of just mediocrity, but I think he'll be back in the MLB.
Maybe the Yankees?
No. They have not. They don't have good luck with signing pitchers. Look at how the last few turned out. All dead.
Okay.
Yeah, start
So
him.
we can't make. No, never mind. Okay.
You can't make the jokes anymore.
Well,
Well,
we weren't actually. I was gonna say that we actually weren't really making any jokes about it because it was such a tough situation.
yeah,
I was thinking about it. I was like, I remember I think last year when we talked about it, we even said like, all right, we're about to talk about something kind of graphic. So
yeah, yeah. It was. Man, what was I gonna say? I mean, the jokes. It always the state. The thing you always want to say is wait for all the facts to come out. Well, all the facts have come out, and similar to the Matt Araiza situation, it looks like it was kind of staged.
Fugazi.
Yeah, Fugazi. So, um, obviously, I'm always siding with the victim, but if the victim is proven to just be lying, that they should face big punishment.
Yeah.
If you're trying to take down someone's life intentionally by smearing them with that type of stuff, I think your life should be ruined too. So, the legal system doesn't represent that yet. Maybe it should. Uh, my other stardom is just MLB retirements. So around the league, we said goodbye to a bunch of legends. Brandon Crawford being one of them. That one surprised me from the Giants. Zach Greinke, it's a household name. He's gone. Miguel Cabrera, a no doubt first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest hitters of all time. He's actually the only player that debuted in the MLB before I was born that was still left. He's the only current player to debut before I was born. So
That's a wild thing.
that's
Yeah.
a make you feel old type of moment. Um, and then Adam Wainwright said goodbye to the Cardinals, had the big ceremony on Sunday. Uh, and it's just kind of sad that it's over. Like all those careers, those are guys I've been following my whole life, and it's over for all of them. The Wainwright run obviously hurts the most, but it was cool to see him get the last at bat, and Yadier Molina surprised him by coming out of the dugout and being there for his final day. That was pretty cool. And I don't know if you saw the ceremony or not, Cam. You were probably watching football, which I don't blame you. But the Cardinals, I do believe he's president. Maybe uh, yeah, we'll say he's the president. Bill DeWitt's son, right? The owner, Bill DeWitt, his son, Bill DeWitt the third. He did most of the talking, like the honoring, giving out the gifts and stuff, and that I had a bunch of silly gifts and guitars, and they brought Adam Wainwright out a puppy and all that. But what I thought was cool, he painted a portrait of Adam Wainwright, and it was solid. Like it's pretty cool. This is the type of impact that Adam Wainwright had on people. Like
Hey
Chris
man, owners'
Carpenter.
kids have to go to school too.
Well, yeah, but I, come on, he owns the Cardinals. Um, let's be real here. But I mean, Chris Carpenter, the guy who was one of the most intense pitchers of all time, he's locked in. He went up to give a speech. He couldn't even do it because he was so emotional. That's how big of an impact Adam Wainwright had on his life. And Bill DeWitt, when he was addressing it, he prefaced it with, "Well, Adam, you've always wanted to be a singer-songwriter type of person. You always wanted to be a performer with the, songs. You just went out and did it." He goes, "I've always kind of wanted to get into painting, so you inspired me to go out and do this." This is the type of stuff that Adam Wainwright does. I mean, he doesn't do it intentionally. He's won a Roberto Clemente Man of the Year award. And then he's touched so many people, not even players and people he knows personally, but I know that there's been some people in my life that use him as a huge role model, just not even baseball wise, but just as, to live their life like. And that's pretty cool when you have a guy like that. Um, People forget that he came back from an Achilles tear in like 5 months. He tore it in mid-April, and he was pitching back in the MLB by the end of September. So maybe Aaron Rodgers can do it.
Yeah, I think Rogers can do it. Your sit-em?
Yeah, my sit-em is Marlins man,
This is interesting.
because we haven't heard from Marlins man in a while, right? He had some beef with the Marlins organization that came out about a year ago. I think it was particularly Derek Jeter that he had beef with, but he's gone now. Well, he was at the playoff game, this week. Marlins were back in the playoffs for the first time with fans since 2003. The only other time they made the playoffs is 2020. There wasn't any fans. So this is the first time Marlins man is able to go to a Marlins playoff game, really ever, since he's been created. And he was in Milwaukee for the Diamondbacks and Brewers. Just completely avoiding the Marlins game, which was just baffling.
I don't think he goes to Marlins games anymore.
No, he doesn't.
So why would he go back?
Well, it wasn't in Miami. It was in Philly.
Okay. Does he go to any Marlins games?
I don't think so. He had a big falling out with the Marlins organization. I don't think he buys games, but he still wears the Marlins gear.
Yeah,
I think his reasoning was because the Diamondbacks were so firmly in that number 5 seed space that he was like, well, if the Marlins make the playoffs, they're going to be the 6th seed going to Milwaukee. But then, the Diamondbacks got swept the last year in Miami, or the last series of the year. Miami leaped them at the last second. So he'd already bought the tickets and made his plans for Milwaukee that he was like, well, I guess I'll just go and enjoy that game. So, but yeah, sit him because you can't do that. The first time you can go to a playoff game for your team and you don't. It's
making me think. But he's Marlins man. Like he has to wear the bright orange, right? He's Marlins man. But he doesn't go to any of the Marlins games. He's kind of just man. I don't know.
He's just orange man.
Yeah, I mean
it's like Donald Trump.
Like he won't. It's interesting to me. Like he's still Marlins man, but does he even? I need him to go on Pardon My Take or something because like, is he still a Marlins fan? But he just won't go to any of the games.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then another sit-em could just be literally the first round of the playoffs because all 4 of the series were sweeps, and that's no fun. You want late action. You want game 3.
They're already over?
Yeah.
Is it best of 3?
Yeah, it's best of 3, and all of them ended in 2 games.
Wow. Okay, well, we're moving right along.
Yeah, your Rays World Series prediction, they're done.
Did I predict the Rays
to go to the World Series?
I said Braves.
Yeah,
it's like
beating the Rays.
It's like March Madness. I've still got my team alive. My bracket's busted, but I still got one alive.
You still have the big dog. Well, the bad part is that me, you, and Jake all had the Braves winning. So you can't pick up any points on us if we're doing March Madness style.
Yeah, well.
And Jake also had the Rays. He also had the Rays going to the big World Series. So tough scene for them. But yeah, all the other teams were kind of like expected, like the Brewers, the Marlins, the Blue Jays. Like none of them really excited anyone. So next round will be better. And then my sleeper is Mizzou, which I don't know if I can really make this a sleeper. I'm going to check the line on this. But this week against
6.5.
This is a good lead-in, too, to talk about this game here. Oh, never mind. Mizzou is +4.
It moved. That's a big move. It was 6.5 last time I looked.
Yeah, it was +6.5. So people are betting on Mizzou, which is probably not a good sign if it's trending that way. But yeah, it's +4. They are ranked higher than LSU. They're 21. LSU's at 23. Mizzou's undefeated. But LSU is, they're the big purple Tigers. Go Tigers. So
yeah. There's a new... Who has a better Tiger mascot? Truman or... I don't even remember. What is his name?
It's not Truman. Truman is one of the ugliest mascots. Respectfully.
I love Truman. I like Truman.
Love him.
Mike the Tiger. Yeah, Mike's kind of ugly. I like Truman's mascot head better than Mike the Tiger.
Mike the Tiger, LSU.
I'm looking at it right now.
It just shows an actual tiger for me. Mike the Tiger, LSU.
Yeah, they do have tigers. They do keep real tigers. We don't do that. We just have megawatts.
Yep. What's more powerful, a tiger or this megawatt?
Oh yeah, I mean, It's like that
I don't know.
one.
He's not bad. The best Tiger still goes to Clemson, though.
Ugh. What? I forgot his name too. I know which one you're talking about though.
That it was so sarcastic too. That's the ugliest thing ever too. He's uglier than Truman, the Clemson
Thank
guy.
you.
Clemson one is just disgusting. Yeah, what are you feeling about this game, Cam? You've been to 4 out of the 5 games. One
Yeah.
thing I want to mention about last week's game at Vanderbilt, they were literally building the stadium during the game. There was a
This isn't the
construction
first
crew.
time, by the way. There,
That's insane. We're in the middle of SEC football, and you have a construction crew building the stands right behind the end zone. It was one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
I don't know what to tell you except that's Vanderbilt football. I mean,
Kick them out of the
they're
SEC.
built on stuff like that. Literally. It was a wild thing to see. It was also awesome, like when we would score a touchdown and you just see like a construction worker turning around because he heard like the alarm that a touchdown was just scored. You know, it's like that's a nice just union worker just taking a quick little break, to catch some ball. So I respect that actually.
He's on the clock watching an SEC game. What can get
Yeah,
better than
that's
that?
literally my dream. So yeah,
In person. He's not even watching it on TV. Like he's
yeah,
right there.
there. They probably don't get shit done while they're during the game.
No.
There's no way.
They probably bring some brewskis. They just make a
Yeah,
boys' day out of it.
yeah. Probably, and like I said, I don't blame them. But like, you think like people in charge of that crew for that Saturday are just like these guys mailed it in once kickoff happened. I mean, Jesus. So they're probably a little behind. Maybe that's why they have to work on Saturdays is because they're just behind. So. LSU at Mizzou. I hate to say it, but our pass defense has struggled a little bit lately, and so has our run defense off and on. But I feel like our pass defense has given up some plays, and I've been a little bit shocked about it. It's usually on Charleston, which not to just throw him under the bus, but it seems like he's struggled here and there.
I feel bus, but
yeah, I feel like if Chris Abrams drain and Ennis Rakestraw, because Ennis Rakestraw had a good game last weekend actually, but he's been banged up off and on a little bit. If they have a good week of practice, don't rebang themselves up. Dalen, Carlisle, we got to be able to lock down, take away Malik Neighbors, and we'll be good to go. They've got a couple other guys. They have a good tight end, Taylor, and obviously Mizzou's biggest kryptonite, Luke. Ever since we've been little babies running quarterbacks, so whether that be a wide receiver playing quarterback for a game or a stud quarterback like Jaden Daniels who can actually just do both. Now, I will say this: Jaden Daniels, tough guy, but he gets killed once a week. So I'm kind of hoping that we can eliminate him as well this week. It'd be cool if it was like DeHoppa, Tyron Hopper just lays him out, or Dalen Carnell, comes and lays the boom, or maybe a cornerback blitz with like Rakestraw or Charleston just laying his ass out. That'd be cool because I got to give it to him. He gets hit so hard. He gets back up, but he gets hit hard better than just about anybody in the country. So you got to give it to him there. I think Mizzou's going to win this game, actually.
Oh, really?
I do. I actually do.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a thriller.
I put him as the sleeper because they're definitely like a sleeper kind of upset pick here, but I don't know if I could come out and say that they win this game. I think as a person who predicted LSU to win the national title this year, right? Probably not going to happen. They already have 2 losses. If they win out, they can maybe have a chance. It's like beating Georgia, beating Alabama, beating some of those teams. They could maybe have a chance, but they lose one more time, it's done, 100%. I predicted that team to win the national title this year. I predicted Jalen Daniels to win the Heisman. So if Mizzou beats them this week, I think I have to be in on Eli Drinkwitz. I think I have to reverse that. Just out of respect for him beating my national title pick. I mean, I was shitting on him. I've been shitting on him forever. I don't think he's the guy. He can't coach. He can't call an offense. Blah blah blah. The offense has looked really really good this year. Maybe because
Past
of
3 games: Vanderbilt,
Yeah,
Memphis, Kansas State.
Yeah, Brady Cook broke the all-time SEC record for most passing attempts without an interception. That was kind of cool. He's been really good this year. Luther Burden is the best receiver
He's literally, yeah,
in the country, and he's a sophomore.
stats wise, especially.
He's a true sophomore. It's insane. So yeah, that with all that happening, if he beats, I mean, I'm saying he can't take Mizzou to the next level. He can't beat those teams. Well, I'd be a hypocrite if he beat LSU and I'm not in on him. So I have to be. So drink. This is the game. This is a huge what did we call them? Evaluation games last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
This
1-0 so far. 1-0. Or did we count Memphis or Vanderbilt as one too?
I think not Vanderbilt. You can't do that. But I think we counted Memphis as one.
Which is fair. They're a good team.
Yeah. So that's 2-0. You could be 3-0 in evaluation games, 6-0 overall. And what's the word on campus, Cam? I'm going to be there at the game on Saturday. But if Mizzou wins, are we storming the field again, or is it a no-go?
No, I had this discussion today, actually about 2.5 hours ago. I had this discussion. I think we're ranked higher. I think it's 21 versus 23, and we're at home.
Underdogs.
One thing, they're favored. If you win on a game-winning kick, though, I'm sorry, they're gonna run onto the field. They're gonna run onto the field. It's a fat kicker. You're gonna run onto the field. So I do, and I think this is. I said Mizzou's gonna win, but I think it's gonna be a thriller. Like, there's no way that Mizzou's gonna win this game convincingly. Even if they get like a 2-possession lead, they'll play down, let them come back. That's just how it is around here. So it's going to be a thriller. I'm excited that you guys are coming up for it. Should be a really fun Saturday, 11 a.m. Got to be in the seats by 10:30. That's been a big news break throughout the week. Drink wants us there by 10:30. Supposedly something really fun is going to happen at 10:30 in the stadium. We're going to be in our seats by 10:30.
Does it involve a helicopter by chance?
I've heard some rumors that it might involve a helicopter by chance.
That would be sick.
So yeah,
I know he's been the guy that's been throwing that around for a long time, like entering the field on a helicopter, but he's never actually done it. So that would be pretty cool. 10:30. I guess we'll keep that in mind. That's early.
It's early. We're gonna be up way early in that too. So you better lock in.
Yep. Yeah, I think we better get to the picks here. We're running out of time. We got to fly through these picks. What's your final score prediction though for this game, real quick?
32-29, Mizzou. Even though they scored like 50 last week, LSU did. 32-29.
Okay, I'll go with the more basic score. I'll go 28-25.
I think there will be
LSU.
more points than that. Either one of those teams is going to put up way more points than that, I think.
All right, Cam, it is your week to pick. We went 9-7 last week. Not very good for week 4, but
there was a couple things that weren't our fault. Like I said, Jameis didn't play. Deshaun just died, apparently. And we thought the Bengals could maybe figure it out. Also, the Texans thing. What the heck?
Yeah.
That's not our fault. But here we go. Week 5. This is when we really got... I mean, our record, we're only 6 games above 500. Don't get me wrong. We had a horrendous start, and we had to pick up some wins to get back in over 500. But I'm expecting we gotta kind of pick it up a notch.
Yeah, we got to go.
So yeah, Chicago at Washington. Washington, Lucas. That's my pick.
Yeah, there's no way you can pick a Bears team to win on the road
never.
right now.
Okay, this one's interesting. Jacksonville at Buffalo in London, the second week in a row.
What, Jacksonville? You mean the
Okay.
London Jaguars?
But you would think I'd pick Jacksonville here, because they play there all the time.
They're playing at home. This is a home game for the Jaguars.
It is, but I'm sorry, I'm taking Buffalo. They haven't lost since that Jets fiasco.
Do you remember the game a few years ago when Urban Meyer was still the head coach, and they beat the Bills 9-6?
Yes, that was in Jacksonville. That was in Jacksonville, though.
I don't care. Keep it in your brain.
If that happens, there's no way I'll be awake at 9:30. Never mind. Houston at Atlanta.
It's actually 8:30. That's Eastern time, 9:30. So,
Jesus, yeah, I'm definitely not going to be. Even at 9:30, I'm not going to be awake. Houston at Atlanta. Give me Houston. Houston, we have a problem. Thoughts? Desmond Shitter has been really shittering.
Yeah, I think Atlanta's going to win. Like, if I was picking, I'd pick Atlanta, but I don't know if I want to use a veto. We'll come back to it. Veto with Desmond Ritter.
They're hot, too. They're hot. Carolina at Detroit. Although this is, a game that Detroit would lose just for fun.
That's true. They drop these types of games.
Okay, so I'm going to pick Indianapolis here, and I know we just watched Tennessee wallop Cincinnati. This is one on the road. Titans haven't won on the road yet this year. And they haven't won back-to-back games yet. Like, they just get walloped the next week. So,
also, I think this is going to be a game that Jim Irsay opens the roof for. So I'm all for that Colts pick.
All right, perfect. Giants at Miami. I'm going to go with Miami. You're going to pick it right back up where they left off a couple weeks ago.
Disgusting.
Oh my God. New Orleans at New England.
This is a Bill Belichick game.
I might go out on a limb here, Luke, and say this one is spiraling out of control.
This is like a 12-7 type of game.
Yeah, that I think the Saints are going to have 12.
Okay.
I mean, you can ponder it. Think about it.
I vetoed with New England twice this year, and both of them lost, so I'm not going to do it anymore.
I gotta see. If they lose this game, will you be like, all right, maybe it is Caleb? That's all I'm saying. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. I mean, this will probably end up being a really gross, close game, but I'm going to take Baltimore. I think they're just better. And I just went on a 10-minute rant about an hour ago. I mean, they're in complete disarray. The Steelers are, so.
Yeah, that's valid. I'm fine with that.
Philly at LA Rams. I think this is actually going to be a really good game. I still think Philly is going to start off 5-0. But that'll be a close game. I think the final score in that one's going to be like 27-23 or something.
I think if I was a bettor, I would bet on the Rams in this game, but I'm not going to veto.
I see
Cooper Kupp maybe
cover or to win.
To win.
Okay,
definitely to cover.
Cooper Kupp is not in. At least he's not on my fantasy team.
Okay. There was rumors he might come back this week, but it might be next week. So. Oh my God.
Cincinnati. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Arizona?
I can't take Cincinnati. I can't. They're abysmal. Unless they start a different court, I can't. He's a refrigerator. Josh Dobbs actually competent.
You want to do that clause game? If anyone besides Joe Burrow starts, we can go with Cincinnati. But that's probably not going to happen. So
No, I actually am just going to take Arizona.
all right,
I think that Cincinnati is also in complete disarray.
I'm fine with that. I know that
It's
thinking
gross.
Arizona is gross, but this really is a must-win game for Cincinnati. But it's one of those things like we did last year where we have to see it. We haven't seen
Yeah,
it at
I
all from
haven't.
Cincinnati, so we got to see it
Yeah, exactly. I think Jets are going to win this one.
at
And
Denver.
yeah, and I think it'll be close just because Broncos are at home and the Jets suck. But let me tell you this: Zach Wilson has some experience playing at higher elevations. Went to BYU, or literally a mountain backdrop. Um, so I'm gonna just go off of that. Give me the Jets.
All right.
Also the Broncos suck. Kansas City at Minnesota.
You have to keep in mind the NFL is rigging games for the Chiefs.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. They're yeah.
And then Dallas at San Francisco, easily the game of the week.
My goodness.
I thought it was at Dallas. I'm mistaken. When I made that comment about Jerry Jones putting the turf on, it was because I thought it was in Jerry World.
San Fran until proven otherwise, I think.
Yeah, you have to.
It's kind of like the same thing with the Philly. Gonna be a good game, I think. And this is a game Dak can win, and we'll be like, yeah, Dak is good, and we just like making fun of him. That's just how it is. Green Bay at Jesus Christ. Green Bay at Las Vegas.
Green Bay. We can't pick the Raiders. I
Right.
won't allow you to.
Okay.
You know how bad the Raiders are? They're bad.
Yeah, I agree. No, you're
Josh
right.
McDaniels?
No, you're right. No, I'm good. Hold on.
Okay.
I had to.
There was one thing I want to bring up here. We're talking
Zip.
about big games in the NFC and stuff, like the Dallas San Francisco game. The Eagles go on a stretch. I thought this was interesting. I looked up their schedule.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal.
They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks where this is the games. Versus Miami, at Washington, versus Dallas, and then they have a bye week, and then they have at Kansas City, Monday Night Football, Super Bowl rematch, versus Buffalo, versus the Niners, and then at Dallas. That is just a gauntlet. So that'll be fun for Philly. Something to keep in mind.
But they'll be so damn ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, those are all playoff teams.
So wow, yeah.
All right.
That's the picks.
I may talk to you off script, and I may veto that Houston one to Atlanta, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'll have to let that marinate for a little bit. But yeah,
what do you have against the Stroud boys? What do you see in Atlanta?
I see a gross Younghoe Koo game-winning field goal in a 19-17 game. That hasn't happened yet this year. It's bound to.
You keep seeing this, but it hasn't happened yet.
It happens at least twice every year. I'm just saying. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.